My dream is to really, truly democratize good healthcare in this part of the world. When I say this part of the world, I mean MENASA region, Middle East, North Africa, South Asia, and East Asia as well.
What about the pandemic, coronavirus? It's a chance for entrepreneur, or what is this?
Well, it hit us all in such a way that we were all in a shock and awe. We didn't know how bad it is and how bad it could get. Giving is not a privilege, but it's an attitude. We could be giving time to friends. We could be giving a shaded seat to another person, or just a seat to somebody in the bus is the attitude. When you see the cracks, address them then. Don't wait for it to become so big that it's irreparable by the time you sit on the table.
What's the secret to be a good salesman? Hello, Mr. Raza. It's a great honor for me to meet you here.
Thank you so much, Ştefan, for inviting me. Thank you.
Could you tell me something about your beginnings as an entrepreneur?
As an entrepreneur, I started off at a very young age. I started at the age of 18 with equivalent of $200. I come from Pakistan, so I started in Karachi in Pakistan with making a tissue box cover and learned how to do printing of that. So I invested in a small mold, went to an injection molding factory and told them to inject this for me. And then I did the printing and sold it to different companies and different people, which would be just like a decorative cover on top of a tissue box. And then I learned how to make a few other things like wall clocks, like numbering sleeves, like cable ties, different plastic products. And I used to go to different factories to get them to do the injection for me. So instead of buying the machinery, I used to buy my mold and then go to somebody else who already has the capital expenditure done for big factory, because I couldn't afford a factory. So I would get that done. And that's how I started, and I continued with some business related to air conditioning, went into manufacturing of that, and learned on my way and started to learn how to build businesses.
You were so young, 18 years old, when you started. How did you have the courage to do business?
It was definitely a bit of courage, a bit of interest, and a bit of necessity. I lost an eye in a car accident when I was 18 years old. And at that point, I was just about to go to university. All my friends went away and I did not have a chance to do that because I was busy trying to take care of my eye. And while I went to London for my eye treatment, I was told that I may lose my other eye as well with a disease called sympathetic ophthalmitis, where a good eye sympathizes with the bad eye. That led to me imagining at the age of 18 that I may be losing an eye or I may be going blind, and I needed to start my life. And I decided to go back and start doing whatever I can to stand on my own 2 feet and started my business. I had very little capital, but I started.
What's about your future business?
When I started off business, that's exactly around the same time I started philanthropy. I did not have much to give. As you can tell, my capital was $200. I started with giving blood, which everyone has. You don't need money to give blood. But the good thing is that if you have an attitude of giving, it stays with you or develops with you for the rest of your life. A lot of time I share with people and my friends that giving is not a privilege, but it's an attitude. We could be giving time to friends. We could be giving a shaded seat to another person, or just a seat to somebody in the bus is the attitude. So giving is an attitude. So while I started my giving, I started to build a lot with Blood Foundation. We expanded the Blood Foundation capacity to store blood. We started treatment of hemophilic and thalassemia patients, and we took that organization nationwide in Pakistan. Later on, I got involved with hospitals. I made a few schools, and I continued to build those organizations, but I didn't understand how to make a global impact, which I learned from a global organization called the Global Philanthropist Circle, founded by David Rockefeller in New York, which is actually led and chaired by Peggy Delaney, who's his daughter, and as the visionary and the founder of the organization as well. And they welcomed me, they taught me a lot, and along with them I met with an amazing bunch of people. At that time I joined, there were about 60-70 members around the world who were the family members, part of the organization. And since then I've been involved with them, I've been on their board, we worked together and we launched different organizations and different missions after that. My latest endeavor that I've been working on for last 10 years plus has been to end modern day slavery, job creation, and sustainable economic development. As luck would have, when United Nations announced the SDGs, they put all these objectives into one goal, which is SDG goal number 8. Myself, along with all the friends and people I knew who worked on these agendas, decided to get together and we founded an organization called Global Sustainability Network, which is focused on goal 8 of SDG goals. So our future, when you say what my future business is, and now I'm coming back to your question, was not only about doing business, but is about doing business that has triple bottom line, which has social impact, which does not hurt our environment, but does make economic sense. So we do want to do businesses that do make good economic sense, but without hurting the environment while doing some social good. So I have focused on businesses which are hitting the triple bottom line, and one of those businesses I'm focused on is healthcare using technology and innovation.
Okay, I have a platform in Romania, educational platform for people. I'm teaching students to make business. How can I convince them to include charity in their lives? Because they don't have enough money, and I'm not able to explain them how important is charity. How should I tell them?
That's a very good question. You know, it was a journey I went through over many years to understand how we're living a Robin Hood life. We do business like a ruthless businessman, but then we want to give charity so that we feel good and God forgives us on our day of judgment. However, like you asked me, we could live a life, we could do our business which actually involves social good and economical good. They don't have to be separate. So, giving you an example, there was an old saying, teach man how to fish, you feed him for life. We grew up learning that. However, now as we have grown, we are beginning to learn that it's not only like that. We taught men how to fish, they became monsters. They did not care about the environment. They would enslave people and do fishing. They would use trawlers and nets and destroy the environment. Yes, we did teach men how to fish, but we turned them into monsters. Now we go back to the drawing board and say, give man a fish, feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish, feed him for life. Teach him how to fish sustainably, you feed the whole village. So now my focus is how to do business with sustainable way. So when you talk to your students and you tell them that no matter what business they do, whether it is automotive, whether it is services, whether it is healthcare, whether it is, fashion, as long as they are keeping an eye on their environmental impact and their social impact while looking at their economic impact, they are doing great. They don't have to have a separate business and a separate charity, but doing business creates economic growth that gives jobs to people, that allows people to pay for their health, education, and society. So encourage them to do business, but incorporate triple bottom line.
How could you define the performance? What is performance?
Again, performance is the outcomes that are important to you, right? So if you're looking at the KPIs, the key performance indicators on anything, it's up to you to define the KPIs. So if you're talking about a performance of a company or performance of an entrepreneur. So if you're talking about, let's start with entrepreneur.
Okay.
Let's say you have a young Johnny who wants to start a business at the age of 24, and he says, you know what, I've got $25,000, I want to start the business. Let us say because you have a lot of experience with restaurants, he starts with restaurants.
Okay.
How can this Johnny, who has barely enough money to rent a place, start a business, start charity?
Yes.
Right? This is an example you can have. He can start a restaurant, fun restaurant, excellent cuisine, but he could use sustainable straws instead of plastic straws. He could use organic produce instead of produce that's probably not healthier for you. He could reduce his disposables, and he could really make this place environmentally friendly. He could actually have some good social practices. Like one of the restaurants I visited in New York, they started to bring prisoners who have completed their term. They come out of it, they don't have any job, they don't have place to go. They have started to train prisoners and give them a job, to rehabilitate them into the lives. So while you're doing your business, which should be amazing, so nobody's coming here to see the prisoners or see the social good, people are coming here to have your food. So let main thing be the main thing for your business, whether it's food, whether it's drinks, whether it is bar, whatever it is. But everything else you do it with a conscience of keeping your elements right.
I have a challenge for you. Let's imagine you have only $10,000 to start a business. What would you do?
If I have $10,000 today,
Only 10,000.
it's a lot. I would first of all give $5,000 to charity, and then I'll be left with $5,000, right?
Okay.
I would put $4,500 as reserve. I will use my phone and I will start nursing employment business. Every time you employ a nurse, you get $3,000 paid to you, right? And there's a shortage of 30 million nurses in the world.
Wow. Which is the biggest challenge for an entrepreneur?
Discipline. I see a lot of young entrepreneurs nowadays with a lot of ambition, big ideas, big thoughts, big dreams. Well, wait a second. They're not disciplined. A lot of them don't understand discipline. Entrepreneur needs to have a vision.
Okay.
And then that's the step one. But that's a dream. You need to have a dream.
Okay.
When you have a dream and a vision, you need to document that vision and make a plan.
So first is the dream. After that is the plan.
The plan. And there's a very famous saying, a dream without a plan is just a wish. It's not a business, right? So you have a dream, you make the plan. When you make the plan, then you make the roadmap. That, okay, this is my plan, this is what I want to go to, but I must have a roadmap. This turns here, this I do. Once you make the roadmap, you need to put milestones. 50 kilometers done, 75 kilometers done, 100. So what are those milestones that you will cross where you understand your progress achieving your goal? So you start with a dream, you make a plan, you make a roadmap, and then you put the milestones, and then you make sure you achieve them.
You didn't tell me nothing about the teams. The teams are important in this equation?
Of course, you talked about the entrepreneur, right?
Okay.
So what a business is important, forget about the team. Before anything, money is important. You can't even hire a single person if you don't have the money.
Could survive an entrepreneur without teams?
Once you have the plan, your plan would include money,
I understand.
team,
Okay.
your product, your manufacturing design, your outsourcing team, because everybody you can't hire. So that's one thing, right? Now, if we go into different verticals, the understanding of business is very important by the entrepreneur, right?
Okay.
Respect for the team is very important for the entrepreneur. The way entrepreneur builds a team is they normally bring in very smart people in different areas, but they end up not respecting them and losing them very quickly because they think they know it all, right? To build a team, with respect and bring the champions of everything that they want to achieve is very important. So I fully agree with you that team building and managing your team, managing your finances, having a discipline is very important.
I have 1,000 employees in my country, but I feel I'm not very good to employ. I'm not a good, leader. How should I, what should I do to construct, to build good teams? What should I tell them, to my leaders?
So I think if you have 1,000 people, so first of all, congratulations for helping 1,000 families, 1,000 youths and 1,000 lives. You're probably touching tens of thousands of lives with that. So thank you very much for making your contribution. I'll give you an example. You brought something very interesting on the table. We were involved with some construction business and I decided to drop everything and move into my labor camp. So they didn't know who I was. So I just went one day after sports, then go home for a few days, straight went to the labor camp and I started to live with the workers in the labor camp area. And there I sat with them and learned from them, having dinner with them, hanging out with them after dinner, that what kind of small problems they have. And these small problems may be small for you to be able to fix them, but for them, it affects their life. So one of the most important things that you could do is to be able to connect with them on really equal basis. If you are able to connect with your team on equal basis, and which I'm sure you do, that's why you managed to grow so big, you would see that your team was always with you and they bring in even better people along. And they already take out the people who don't work out, they'll be the one protecting you.
I understand. What's the difference between a millionaire and a billionaire? What's the difference? The mindset. I don't understand, I really don't understand. I am a millionaire, but I don't understand the billionaire.
I am actually moving on to a different philosophy in life, is happiness and not happy life. Right? For some people, they are worth more than $1 billion with just a few $1 million. And there are some billionaires who have a worse life than anyone you can imagine on the street. Right? So if we don't have the true happiness within us, if we don't understand our values and respect our friends and families and society, I think no matter how much money you have, it is not going to suffice. So I think that the future of the world may be more worried and concerned about the serotonin and the oxytocin in our body than just the dopamine which we normally get from achievement, which is great. From being at 20 million to a 50 million to 100 million, it'll give you a lot of dopamine, but giving a hug to your mother is going to give you serotonin. And if you want to be happy, you need to have oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, and endorphin. Do work out, So combination of that, I think, is alchemy. And if you have a chance, recommend to your youth to read the book Alchemist by Paulo Coelho.
What's your favorite book?
Paulo Coelho, I would say 3 books that you would definitely recommend to the entrepreneur. So one is understanding what's alchemy.
Okay.
Is the first. A formula is the first. You understand what's the formula of making gold. And gold may mean when everything comes together, when your house and your home and your children and your family and your wealth and your health and everything is together, it could be gold for one person, which is a formula of gold. For some another person is more money, more cars, more planes, more yachts. Again, so I'm not judging anybody, it could be different for different people, but understand where is your alchemy. Another thing, so that was the dream part. Then you come to the discipline, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. I would definitely say read it the first 5 times and then record it, save it in your mobile. So I have it in my mobile as well. And I do listen to these 7 points over and over again. Very, very important. And I think that's another book that's really worth reading. There's one more book which is a compilation of some old ballads. It's called The Richest Man in Babylon.
Yes.
And that was also a Balthazar. So that was also a very interesting and small, and the books I'm telling you are small books. I'm not telling you the Sapiens and the others. So these are some of the nice books. And one last book, if I may say, is of Yuval Noah Harari, 21 Lessons of the 21st Century. Definitely read. It's a latest read book.
Yes. Can you give me top 3 advices for a beginner as an entrepreneur?
Dream big, discipline, and respect.
Okay, let's change the topic a little.
Sure.
It's good to have partners in business or not?
That's the only way to grow. If you learn how to have partners in business. If you are not able to be answerable to shareholders, your growth will stop at some point and you may become your own worst enemy.
Sometimes my father told me never have partners. It's not good to have partners in business.
Times change and the philosophies change. And when you want to cross certain barriers, you realize the whole idea has to change. So when you say you want to go fast, you go alone. You want to go far, you go together. So your choice. You want to go fast or you want to go far?
You are not afraid to be stolen by your partners.
Why would I even think that somebody is going to take advantage of me? Because I would never even imagine doing that to anybody. So for me, why is my partner different than me? And of course, follow your heart, but eventually the decision will be made by your agreement. So write down everything you're going to do, be explicit in your agreements, but make sure that agreement never comes out and you never need it, because partners don't cheat every day. It's like a relationship, you know. You can get hurt in relationships. From your teenagers till now, I'm sure you must have had more than one girlfriend. And maybe it didn't work out. So what does that mean? Did you stop trying for that? No. Same is the case when you talk about business. Yeah, I'm not saying that guaranteed you will never have a problem. Yeah, maybe 15-20% you will have a problem. But 8 out of 10 times you won't. Especially, it's very important that trust is the most important thing in a partnership. And communication and transparency is the foundation of building a trust. You have a doubt, have communication. Not through email, not through WhatsApp. You actually go and talk to your partner and say, you know what, you took out this money for this reason, I do not see the account for it, I don't feel comfortable about it. Say it, don't hold it back.
Okay.
Same is the case when you see the cracks, address them then. Don't wait for it to become so big that it's irreparable by the time you sit on the table. But I really firmly believe that any organization that has crossed a barrier, look at whether it's Apple, whether it's Google, whether it is Amazon, whether it is Microsoft, they all have partners. They have lots of shareholders. So if you want to cross that barrier, get ready to be open and transparent with everybody.
You told me about the relationships. Can a relationship influence the business life?
I think relationships and peace of mind makes a very big difference in business. Now, you go on to peace of mind can come from many things. You know, a lot of people feel more peaceful doing their sports, doing their religion, having a stable home, a better relationship, having out friends. All this can give you happiness and overall contentment so that you're ready to focus on your work. A problem in a relationship is like a small stone in your shoe. You can still walk, but it's going to keep on bothering you. So yes, relationships do matter. It does affect your work. You may be able to tolerate it, but it does have the effect.
I can't find my peace. I am an entrepreneur, you know. I have money, I have cars, I have villas, lands, etc. But I feel I don't have enough time for me. What should I do to be more peaceful?
Ştefan, this is where I really understand where we are coming from, right? I think we grew up learning to live within our means. When I was growing up, I was growing up in a middle-class family where always says, don't increase your expenses too much, live within your means. Don't spend more than you earn, live within your means. What we forget is sometimes God can be more kind to us than others. We may be more blessed and we may get more than our means, way more than our means. I think there comes a time when we need to start looking at our needs and live within our needs, not within our means. Because our means can be much more than that. We don't need it. So a lot of times we don't really need more than what is needed. And once we start appreciating what we really need, it could be family, it could be friends, it could be nature, it could be religion, it could be charity, it could be luxury, it could be travel, and live for our needs and not just for our means.
What do you do to feel relaxed? I don't know. How many hours do you work daily?
I started to study my own rhythm of day. So I know that I've got a routine. I get up around 7:30, 8. I'm very comfortable to start my work from 9, but normally I start with a breakfast meeting. And I normally ask somebody to join me for breakfast.
Okay.
So 9 to 10 is generally a time.
Business partner for business?
It could be business partner, it could be my colleague from work, it could be anybody. So that's around the time I feel very comfortable in working and talking initially. From 10:30 to 1:30 is around the time I take on the toughest task of my day. So whether it is strategy or legal litigation or some financial discussions or anything that's serious and tough, I normally schedule myself around that time. From 1:30 to 2:30 is our lunch break, and that's the time I get a chance to catch up with a colleague at work during lunch, or some visitor in town. I would have a lunch with them. Then I get about half an hour to attend to my calls and all, and then I keep a 3 to 4 and a 4 to 5 meeting to mostly around easier work to do. Like we had a meeting at 4 o'clock today. It automatically will fall at 4 and not at 11 because you're a visitor in town. I would love to spend time with you without having stress of anywhere else. So I would keep these meetings around that time. After this, generally is my time for my sports. I love playing squash, table tennis, swimming, golf. So I would actually not do golf in the evening, but I would actually break away for some sports. And then again, after sports, 7:38, I'm up and about again, and I love to catch up with my friends, my visitors, my business colleagues for dinner and discussion after dinner. And that's around the time when I think out of the box. It's the time I'm more creative. I'm thinking of things which are new, which are challenging. I'm learning something new in the evening. So I've pretty much scheduled my entire day in such a way that I don't feel like I'm working. So now I go back to your question, how many hours do I work? I actually don't feel I work the whole day. I just live every day.
How do I choose my teachers, my masters?
I think it will first start from your needs and understanding your vision. And based on your vision, you need to start, and there's a process to it, by the way. So, I share this with my colleagues, with my own children and my friends and some of my mentees who I mentor, that look at what your vision is, look at what your objective and your goals are. How have you surrounded yourself with those people? Like, for example, when I was getting into healthcare business, I don't have experience of healthcare or any of the businesses I did before. So if I'm looking at a business, I need to surround myself with the professionals, entrepreneurs, anybody relevant to that kind of business. So when I'm even hanging out for playing a game of tennis, I'm actually hanging out with an architect whose company I enjoy, who I connect with, but my entertainment time also was my education time. So similarly, when you select your mentor, you need to first know which direction you are heading and what are the things you need your mentors for. For example, you definitely would need mentor to help you deal with life problems. You need to have somebody in your life who you trust, whose judgment and whose like and dislike or whose experiences, good and bad, that you feel could bring value to you. There was a time when I was learning about the difference between my problem and my responsibility. Every responsibility I have doesn't become my problem. Like I have a responsibility towards my children, but their problem is actually their problem, is not my problem. But I, as a father, would have a responsibility towards my child to help him solve his problem. Similarly, it works with your colleagues at work. When you're talking to your colleagues at work, at least I also had that tendency of making everybody's problem my problem and having sleepless nights. Till the time when I realized in order to grow, I must understand this is me and I need to deal with my problems. And I have a friend and I have a responsibility towards my friend to help as much as I can. But your problem should not become my problem. So there are many ways of dealing with these sorts of issues. So life coaching is very important.
Did you involve your children in business?
All of them. Everybody is involved with me in business somewhere or the other at their own choice. They went to their own universities and they slowly and gradually have so far diverted into it. I'm very, very happy that they are in the business, and I'll just be as happy if they choose not to be part of the business, because there are two different roles they have. They have a role of being a beneficiary of the trust or a shareholder. That will not change whether they involved in the business or not physically. In the business, when they're involved, they are the employees of the company. And if I find a better employee than them, I'm sure they would understand, because I'm protecting their value of shares, I'll fire them, because that will benefit them more. Because as a shareholder of the company, if they're not doing the job right and we can get somebody better, we should definitely work for the shareholder value where they will gain. So they really understand, and I really love this part about them, is they understand the difference between a shareholder and having a job in the company. So far they have jobs in the company.
Should parents give money to their children when they are young, and how much money?
So it's relevant to the size of the capital you have. I don't think we should restrict the children too much, but at the same time, we should not be just throwing away money. There has to be some sort of a system. So, for example, if the family has a trust, or family has a family office or some investments, there has to be a discipline on how the money is given to the person, who they are responsible to and reporting, who's supervising the investment of that money. Proper reporting is very important. So yes, give your money, but make sure with some discipline and not as a gift.
How many children do you have?
I've got 3.
Oh.
I've got a son and 2 daughters. My son is about 30 years old. He just turned 30 last week. And I've got 2 daughters, 27 and 22.
What would you like to be your legacy for the future generation?
I have not really looked at the legacy, because a lot of time, many years ago, people were always asking, so what's your legacy? I've just looked at living a life which itself can be looked at as a legacy for people, that I tried being friends to the friends, family to the family, and sincere to whatever I was doing. So I would like to be known as a person who was sincere to whatever I was committed to.
I think the connections are very important in a business. How can I make connections?
A network is a very important thing. Some people go to the extent with saying it's not what you know, it's who you know that matters. I don't totally agree with it, but there is some truth to that. Only knowing what you know is not good enough unless you build your network. Right? A network can only be built with the basic philosophy. Give and take. Give and take. You've heard this phrase many times. Yeah? People believe in give and take. Have you ever heard take and give? People don't use the word take and give. They always say we must believe in give and take. So what comes first? Give, and then take. Right? So if you want to build relationships, start with giving. Giving time, giving a ear to somebody. When you want to build some relationship, it's not the number of people you know, it's the quality of a few people that you know well. So it's not just the number of people, it's the number of people you know well, who you can learn from, who can learn from you, and who will be able to help you build bridges. So people in your network are not necessarily directly people who you want something from. Your friends, your network could actually be a bridge leading you to some place. So you could have a friend and you need to get to the other side. You don't know the other side, but your friend does. So he can leverage as a bridge between you and another person. Say, you know, Mr. So-and-so, Miss So-and-so, I really want you to meet my friend because I trust him, and that's how you build trusted relationships.
There are a lot of students who tell me we can't find mentors. I have this opportunity to meet you, but they do not have this opportunity.
Right.
Maybe they never will have this opportunity. How can they choose mentors?
So if you're talking about in your case, right, I have a solution very specific and people can replicate this solution.
Okay.
So in Dubai, I started an organization called Social Capital Club. And I started to go there every Saturday in this one of the businesses we had. And every Saturday, I would go so my friends will come, who are my colleagues, who's my peer group who are doing something else. Right? But I would go and invite people who are involved with innovation and technology, startups and entrepreneurs, and non-profits and social entrepreneurs. And I tell them, all of you come over, we're going to hang out for 2 hours together. And my friends will come along with me. And we're going to talk about what are your ideas, share with us. And then we will try to find each other connections. Now we ended up being a group supporting each other during COVID for jobs for one another. Somebody dropped their phone in the water and see how do I recover the data. Somebody is leaving the country and saying I'm going somewhere else. Does anyone know something there? Someone needs some legal help on some accident somebody had over there, which is a real case. So everybody became a community helping. When I say, yeah, I know this person. Oh, I've got a lawyer who's willing to work for you for free. I've got this connection who can get you a job. So that created, and now our ambition is to build social capital clubs everywhere. So we've already started a chapter in Israel. We are already starting a chapter in a couple of other countries. So I think everybody can start building a small group of people which is blended with everybody. People who you feel can be mentors, people who you feel, because when I go there, I have my own selfish need. I get to learn so much. I've got these young entrepreneurs who are thinking differently than I'm thinking. I get these people in technology who are talking about blockchain and explaining to me what blockchain is when I had no clue what it was. So this is a win-win space for all of us.
I understand. Why did you choose Dubai?
The most convenient place to do business. One line answer. The other long answer to your question is, I live in Pakistan, so it's just a few hours flight from my hometown. So I can always be here while feeling at home. My parents are still alive and healthy and I get a chance to see them, easy to see. There's no income tax here. That's a very big attraction. It is probably the best connected place in the world with direct flights to almost everywhere. The security level that we have over here is just unbelievable. And the quality of life you get is unparalleled. These were the major reasons.
Have you ever been in Romania?
I have not had a chance. I was going to come last year, but unfortunately because of COVID I had to cancel my plan. I'm really looking forward to visiting you in Romania.
It's amazing, our country. We invite you in our country.
Thank you so much. It'll be my pleasure, and thanks for giving me the chance.
What is happiness for you?
Happiness for me is peace of mind when I don't have to worry about health, financial problems, and family problems. It sort of gives me the solace when I don't see family and friends. When I say family, so when we don't have problems around us, it gives me a lot of peace, and I think I pray for long-term happiness.
What about the pandemic, coronavirus? It's a chance for entrepreneur, or what is this?
Well, it hit us all in such a way that we were all in a shock and awe. We didn't know how bad it is and how bad it could get. They say when life gives you lemons, you make lemonades. So it depends on you. So you complain about lemons in life, or you make lemonade. So I think for some it could be an opportunity, but for some there is no option but to weather the storm. So yes, it is like a tsunami, it is like a storm, and the only thing you can do is calmly take the beating and withstand this downturn. It has hit a lot of lives in many ways. You know, I see the aviation industry, the tourism industry, the hotels, trading businesses, consumption of a lot of things has gone down. And I really pray to God that this pandemic is over soon and people start recovering as quickly as possible. Now, many countries have injected so much money as incentives and the remedy from their countries, that I feel that the world is going to go see a serious GDP growth in the developed world because of that. So it looks like light at the end of the tunnel. However, saying that, world has just discovered technology has arrived, which had been there. I mean, I never watched Netflix before this pandemic. Now my daily life is Netflix. I was struggling to use Zoom in March last year. Now I can give lessons on Zoom. So I really adopted technology. So we feel that there are many ways. Now, once I learn how quickly I can deal with Zoom, I think I can cut down a large number of my travel for work. I would still love to travel for my leisure and to meet my friends, but for a lot of my work meetings, I've learned very effectively how to use Zoom. I think our work life is going to change. I think the lifestyle is going to change and improve in many ways, because we may be able to cut down a lot of commute time to work. We've started the companies that never believed that their workers worked outside the office have started to believe that now, because they realize that even if they were working from home, their efficiency didn't drop that much.
What should I tell to a beginner in pandemic times? To learn, to repeat, I don't know, what should a beginner do?
Conserve cash, don't spend more than necessary. Number two, don't launch new initiatives which are not relevant to that particular advantage during that area. So this is not the time to say, all right, fine, I think I need to open three more restaurants. Maybe just hold on, let the things go back just because it was in your plan. Adjust your plan based on your environment.
I have a curiosity. What is more important, the product or the marketing?
It's a given the product has to be good. But with bad marketing, you'll never get there. So it goes hand in hand.
The product is more important than marketing?
Product is definitely more important than marketing. If you tell me that marketing can open the door for you or get somebody to try your product, but will not get you a repeat customer if your product wasn't good. But if your product was good, somebody will talk about it that, you know what, Ştefan, I heard that restaurant is really good. You will end up going there. A lot of other places, you will find out actually started because the product is so good that people travel to go and have it. There's a fish and chips joint in north of England, in Whitby. People drive from all over to go and have fish and chips there, and there are only 2 shops over there.
What's the secret to be a good salesman?
And there are a few lessons. Number 1, learn how to make appointments. So it is a very important lesson, how to make an appointment. And if you say, I want to see you at 11 o'clock, the chances are the person's mind is 1 hour is booked. But if you say, can I see you for 20 minutes at about 10:40? You're very comfortable, this guy's not going to take more than 20 minutes. Right? So the other thing is you need to understand the other side. If I know that this person is going through a factory round because I was selling air conditioning equipment in the morning, and I ask for an appointment in the morning, I won't get it for many days. If I try to ask for an appointment, understanding what's the most convenient, what's the best time of the day to catch him. So understanding taking an appointment is the first important thing. Having a sales pitch, an elevator pitch, very clearly what you want is very important. That should not take you more than 2 minutes, max 3 minutes. If you are going above 3 minutes, you've lost the person. Number 3 is when to stop talking. A lot of times people talk you into the sale and they talk you out of it because they continue talking after that. So you just almost agreed, and then after listening to a bit too much, you lose the sale. And number 4, you need to have the contract ready with you. Once you've done it, everything is like, okay sir, so I'll come next week. You already lost it. You say, you agree? Here's the sale. You do it. So yes, all these things are important in sales. If you ask me what is most important, I would say all of it is most important. And listening. Sorry, the most important part is listening. What is the need of the person? My apologies, I forgot the 5th one.
If I want to choose leaders, how do you employ leaders? What's the most important when you choose your team?
So there is a scientific method to that, and which I've been using for many years. And I've got an HR consultant the person I was using, his name is Barry Cumming. And Barry used to help me do inductive evaluation of people. So I put them through a test, not to find if they are right or wrong, but to understand where they stand in the inductive evaluation. So people with real focus, like Einstein or some Nobel Prize winner or scientist, could be having like 20-30 degrees at the inductive evaluation. President of a country could be 70-80 in the inductive evaluation. Now that doesn't mean necessarily good, because a president has to jump from a healthcare issue to a financial crisis to a government crisis to political problem. He has to change his thing every hour in the day. Right? So he should be able to jump from one subject to another. Whereas a scientist or a musician who's working on something and you say, come on, now it's the time to go into another formula. He said, no, leave me alone for another 2 months. I need to focus on this. Right? So nothing is good or bad, but you need to understand, are you picking up a scientist for a leadership job, or are you picking a leader for a scientific job? So you need to have inductive evaluation that do they fit in there or not. And then to understand the difference in the leader you're picking up, whether he or she believes in I or we. Because a lot of people are the I leaders, and a lot of them are the we leaders. And I think that's some of the early traits where you can find right from wrong. That makes a big difference. And the third thing, you're going to feel it. That's it.
How can I train to feel? Because sometimes I think I don't feel the leaders. Yeah. Why?
To be able to connect, you need to be able to connect. Like, for example, I remember one of the examples of an interview. So there's a gentleman who had a way of interviewing people at a lunch. So he invited the person. He was hiring this person, and at a senior level, and they ordered soup. So he orders chicken cream soup, and so does this person, and they start their discussion. So tell me, how's everything? And that guy just reached out to the salt and pepper and used it. And that guy failed him in the interview because he says, you did not even taste it. How did you know there's less salt in it?
You need salt, yes.
Right? Because some people realize that, you know what, I know everything. I know that whatever comes in front of me has less salt. Right? So this is some ways of dealing it. So some people develop their own method of trying to learn how to connect. So you do need to connect. When you're interviewing somebody for a leadership role, have as many meetings as you can till you feel that connection. It's a very important exercise.
What do you think about the force of dreaming?
It's the most powerful force. It's the most important thing. Many years ago, I saw an amazing ad which shows dreams of places and then all those dreams turning into reality. And at the end, the slogan says, people who dream, people who do, they woo. That was the ad for Daewoo 30 years ago. So it really stuck to my mind. People who dream, people who do.
What's your dream now?
My dream is to really, truly democratize good healthcare in this part of the world. When I say this part of the world, I mean MENASA region, Middle East, North Africa, South Asia, and East Asia as well. And I want to have maximum endeavors towards achieving goal 8 in SDGs.